every American heart, and it's time we stand and say.
Media outlets like CNN and MSNBC are fake news. Fake news.
I've been fake news for a long time. It was just fake news, but it was fake news. It was a totally phony.
Fake news.
It's fake news?
Fake news. Fake news.
Fake news is a constitutional right. Hear me out, I'm not saying all news is fake, but even if it was, it has the right to be. The First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees freedom of press and freedom of speech. And this is important. Throughout history, we've seen stories come out that have changed the world.
November 16th, and the Wall Street Journal and other publications are reporting that every member of the House Intelligence Committee has signed a letter to the president urging him not to pardon Edward Snowden. You may remember him as the former National Security Agency contractor who prompted that overhaul of government surveillance programs after he leaked the stolen records about the agency in 2013. 23 members of Congress have signed this letter, every member of that committee, and all this comes as a new movie, an Oliver Stone movie about the life of Edward Snowden is released today.
This isn't about me, it's about us. But the public, by and large, cares about these issues far more than I anticipated, and so it's led to this wellspring of support that I'm incredibly fortunate to receive. But more than anything,
Edward Snowden's whistleblowing opened a dialogue on privacy and national security that just wasn't there before. Imagine if we couldn't report on that. And in countries without these constitutional protections, having stories suppressed is a reality.
I like freedom of speech because I can speak my feelings, my emotions, my mind without having to worry about going to jail or get in trouble for certain things that I say.
Freedom of speech and freedom of press is important to me because not everyone feels the same way about something. I'm very opinionated, so having that freedom and that right to me to be able to speak my mind freely without being worried that something bad is going to happen to me is great, because then it can help me make other friends who have the same kind of ideas and thoughts and feels as me.
I've had the opportunity to see why it's important both from a personal perspective and from a professional standpoint, in that when I worked in the media industry, and sometimes it's not the most popular thing, but it's actually really important. If we didn't have the freedom of speech and the freedom of press, there would be people that would be able to get into positions of power, and they would control on what is being said. And it's not always true, and sometimes it's more propaganda than it is truths. And that's really the role of, using that amendment. We want people to back things up with facts and not just take people at their word for it. And that's why the profession has been so important, and that's why there's so many movies and so many books about the field, because it's really what makes America is so different in the world, where you're not punished for having an opinion about someone who's your leader. We don't elect kings here. So everybody's subject to hear what is out in the industry from those journalists, and they work really hard at finding the truth.
I am thankful for freedom of speech because I feel like there's no limits on my thoughts or personality. And I'm also thankful for the freedom of the press because I know truly that everything that I see in the news is not being forced or anything like that, and that we truly live in a free country.
The freedom of press and speech is very important to me because it's very important that as citizens of our country we know exactly what's going on and that we're not just being told certain things to keep us happy while there's a separate agenda going on. We always know exactly what's happening in our country, and we don't exactly have to worry about government-mandated statements saying otherwise from the truth.
So when crafting the perfect tweet, reading a newspaper, or even sifting through fake news, remember to be thankful for the First Amendment, and remember that it's worth fighting for.
So I was editing things and I realized that I didn't really cover the other side of the story. Lots of people are fighting against fake news and against the spread of fake information, which is really excellent. DallasNews.com said that fake news can threaten our democratic institutions, which can endanger freedom of press as a result, which is absolutely true. It's important to realize that fake news, anybody can call something fake news, but when news is actually fake and actually being spread around, it's a big issue. So some people think freedom of speech should have its limitations and freedom of press should have its limitations. What do you guys think? Let me know.